Yeah, I'm really tired. But you know, if you're an artist, you don't know what it means financial stability, isn't it? Your mental health, your physical health. What kind of health there are?
I'm a film student, I'm 20 years old, and I'm opening my production company. It's been very difficult to manage my studies, work, and business ideas, as well as to find not only the money to pay the bills, but as well as to invest into my own startup. For this reason, I've been considering, what does it mean to be an artist? How do artists manage to find money and still devote themselves completely for art?
I don't know how much choice you have now, because obviously you're going to have to earn some money somehow. And I think if you can, it depends how much freedom you want for your art, because if you want a lot of freedom to do what you want to do in terms of art, I think you sometimes have to do things which aren't anything to do with art just to earn money.
Being an artist, you have to be an entrepreneur, basically. You have to really know how to manage your money. You need to find work often. The work doesn't always find you. If you have finished a personal passion project, you often need to find funding for it, or you need to be able to sell it somehow.
Because you can see the skirting board bit at the side there, but this must have been where some paint had crept round the edge. I did actually emphasise it slightly, but basically I saw that and I thought, that's really nice, I really like that, what can I do? So sometimes, you know, the life of an artist has different experiences. You put work on show somewhere, it goes off to an exhibition, and nothing sells, and you think, oh dear me, nobody likes my work. Then you have you have work in another exhibition and somebody buys it and you think, oh yeah, somebody does like my work. Society. Yeah, but that's based on a photograph I took in Venice myself.
I think you need to learn how to take criticism, but also how to evaluate criticism, because obviously if I'm taking advice from someone who has no experience in filmmaking or whatever, then there's you need to take that criticism as an outsider's criticism, and also if there's someone who's way higher than you or way more experienced, and then you take their advice or their criticism. It's also like, sometimes it can be really hard because you feel like it's not constructive, or like, at least I feel like it, if somebody comes to me and says like, oh yeah, it doesn't really look good, and I'm like, okay, yes, I'm shit, fine, I'll just drop it then, rather than being like, yes, I can do better. I think that's a really difficult thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah. I think sometimes I think like I'm the worst type of person for stuff like that, because I can take criticism, like I try and like be as constructive with it as possible, but sometimes I get so defensive. I'm kind of, well, what do you fucking mean? Do you know what I mean? Like I did that.
You do that. I don't know. I feel quite like protective over like different like types of art and like films too. Like obviously when like anything, when someone kind of like, oh, that's no good, it's kind of like, well, all my time and all my thought has gone into that, so respect it to a certain extent, because we're all artists in our own ways and we all do things differently, and that what works for one person may not work for another, and I think you just have to respect that, really.
You do that. Yeah, it's kind of like, well, you try it next time, but it's hard because when you're so like in love with what you're doing and like how you're kind of like going about it, and you're in such a flow, and all of a sudden someone comes along and it's kind of like, well, I wouldn't do that. It's kind of like, well, I would, and I am. But it's hard to kind of separate the two, isn't it? Because you just want to be like...
Especially because our styles are all so different. Like,
yeah.
Everyone's work, like, everybody's is so different, and it's hard to... Obviously, it's renowned for being a difficult industry, anything creative. You're putting yourself out there, you're making yourself vulnerable, and you're letting people see that side of you, and if people don't understand that, with certain bits of art, with film especially, it can be criticised. So different, and it's hard to understand that sometimes your work you know, or like your style of editing or your style of documentary is going to be completely different to someone else's, and you have to put yourself into their headspace of like, this is the sort of stylization I want it to be. It's not going to be like yours, which is factual. I want it to be funny. I want it to be, you know, it's hard to kind of get into each zone of everybody's mind, because it is so like, it's creative. It's not factual. It's not, you know, like statistics. And it's all about opinion.
Yeah.
And it's hard to.
And we're all doing it for the same reason, whether how we interpret it completely different to one another. Like, I think there's that level of respect for each other, because we all know how difficult it is to like show our work in that way. Do you know? Well, at the moment, I wouldn't say that I'm like a full-time artist. I think I'm kind of like, hopefully we'll get there. I think everyone is kind of hoping to like. You know, establish themselves in, like, especially in like the film industry as well. So
you're vulnerable, aren't you?
Yeah, I think it is that being creative or putting your work out there means that you're vulnerable. You're constantly like, you know, putting pieces or bits of yourself out there for everyone to see and judge. Right?
Yeah.
Being an artist can be tough sometimes. To be honest, most of the times. Finding an idea, developing it, looking for funding, and taking care after your daily life responsibilities as well at the same time can become challenging.
Stable at all, because you just keep worrying and thinking, and you stay awake for hours till 4 a.m. and then you need to wake up at like, I don't know, at 6 and go to work, to like your day work, because you need to fund yourself and you need to pay your rents and you need to do all these stuff. So try to be a normal human being throughout the day, and then during the night you get to your artistic side.
And then drawing the life model. One of the tutors came up to my drawing and he said, "Quite a nice sense of form." He actually said that, because I quoted that in my diary. I mean, the life of an artist, it's sort of a seasonal thing, you know. It's sort of, I mean, this year's been relatively good. I've sold 9 works.
Is it hard to say goodbye to your painting and to give it something?
Only if you really like it. Usually the ones that sell are the ones I quite like. So I get left with all the ones I don't like so much. Not always though. I mean, I must confess that there is a particular painting, watercolour, that's been in several exhibitions, and I do like it, so I put a very high price on it. Nobody's going to buy it because it's too highly priced, so I can get it back.
The very first feeling after I feel like I have finished editing something, or if I've, you know, finished a whole project, like a whole short film or a whole film, or after I've finished writing something, whether it's a script or a short story or anything similar, the first moment after that, I feel amazing. I feel invincible. I feel like I can do anything in the world.
I think it's a sense of relief, especially if you make a film and you've had it all trapped in your head for so long, how you envision it and everything you want to put across. I think as soon as you see it and it's edited and it's all put together and it's the message you've had in your head that you want to tell people, I think it's a sense of relief of everything you've trapped inside yourself is now physicalised for people to be able to understand. I think definitely a big sense of relief.
After about 5 minutes, the perfectionist in me kicks in, and then I go back and I watch the video again, or I read the thing through, and I do it again and again and again, and I go back and I make more edits to it.
Well, there's definitely a sense of achievement. I think generally excitement, because I'm like, oh my god, I've actually done something, whether it is like a uni project or like something I've just done in my own time. It's generally, I don't know, it's quite quite like a humbling and like magical feeling in a sense, because I'm kind of like, oh my god, I've done that. But yeah, I love it.
It's been really rough couple of days. I've been actually dying. I couldn't speak, I couldn't eat. My ear, my neck, my mouth was hurting. I don't know what's going on, but I still tried to go on and do things, and just spending time in the media lab with everyone while we're editing, creating their films, and just being in very kind of positive vibe. It's so inspiring. And yeah, it's just when you start an art project, you get through all these steps. Like in the beginning you're so motivated, then you get so stressed and frustrated and don't understand what's going on, and then in the end you kind of get this inner calmness, and it's amazing. It's such a roller coaster of emotions, but it's really what probably artists live for, because it's so amazing, it's so different, and it's just like a bonfire. It's just, in the beginning it's really, really small, and then just starts burning, but in the end it's just full of flame and beautiful, and by the end it's gone. It's just few red dots that you can see around it is left, and then it starts again.
And I think sometimes what happens is you get to a certain stage in your life, stage I'm at now, which is obviously towards the end, a few years left, but it's the bulk of my life is gone really, and you look back and you decide, you think about what you may have achieved, and I don't think you should be too hard on yourself, because if at the age of 16 you were drawing and painting, and I'm now 69 and I'm still drawing and painting, that's an achievement in itself, because you've sort of been true to yourself. Sounds a bit sort of like highfalutin, but if you have a talent, I think you should use it.